weapon was designed to impact enemy personals, enemy vehicles, enemy shelters, and enemy assets. Today we're gonna talk about mortars. My name is Daniel Salem, and this is War is Algebra.
Watch this.
The 120mm mortar to be 1-1 has been in service since 1981. The mortar system consists of a 120mm mortar and a GAZ-66 truck for transportation. The complex is named to S1 Tisane. Additionally, this mortar can be mounted on track chassis.
What is this? What's it called? And I know every weapon has its own name.
Yes, this is Luba. This is our Lyubov Mykolivna. She's the queen of artillery. She has extraordinary advantages. For comparison, our Luba is a slender girl. Her weight is 210, if with wheeled movement 300. If we need to disassemble her, we take her apart into pieces with the guys and carry. So, moving her over short distances is still possible. Otherwise,
Well, of course, that's 300 kilograms.
there's a vehicle that transports her. By the way, there it is, standing over there. If we compare it with other artillery systems, especially with towed artillery, it's a 120mm caliber. However, if we look at a similar caliber in a howitzer, like the 122mm D30, for example, this one is 300 kilograms, while there it's 3 to 5 tons. The difference from rifled artillery. But here it has a shorter range.
How many people are needed to get it combat ready? For example, there's a call, a target identified. You need to go. How many people and how much time is needed to start executing the task?
According to the standard staffing documents for this mortar, you need 5 people, a commander, a spotter, and 3 crew members, plus the driver. If needed to preserve personnel, there can be 2 people near the mortar. The spotter, who will also act as the mortar commander at that moment, and the one loading and delivering the ammunition. 3.29 Luba is wearing hat.
So she doesn't freeze.
The spotter made the aiming, reported that the mortar is ready. I gave the command to load. They are loading. Next, we have 2 options. Either it's already primed, everything is set.
And as soon as it's loaded, it shoots right away.
Yes. Or with a cord. For safety reasons, we operate on a cord. The maximum firing angle is 80 degrees. Why can't it be more than 80? Because there is a possibility that, upon firing, the mortar could fall. The shell might go up and come down on you or your own team. But try holding it in your hands in that position.
So I lift it up, shove it in, and throw it like this.
Yes, but don't you dare throw it over there because taking it out is very problematic.
Watch this.
The mortar consists of a barrel. We have a light barrel here. Its bipod, here it is. The supporting plate, and the so-called crown. This prevents double loading, so that 2 shells are not thrown into the barrel. When they ask how it's possible, how can you throw something into the barrel?
Oh, sucks.
Well, of course, you have to keep them somewhere. Let them stay there for now. When we throw the shell, the whiskers fold in, and that's it. You can't throw another shell in. When fired, it activates. That's about the crown. The barrel itself consists of a breech. This section is called the breech ring. And can you see this stylized area?
It's here. Yes.
Yes. This is necessary to calibrate the mortar. If we talk about the effectiveness of any artillery, it's effective only when it operates precisely. You can bring a mortar to practice, shoot a lot of shells. So I tell my guys that when we shoot, each shot costs us $1,000. And I don't want to spend $1,000 in vain.
Adjustment of the mortar occurs into planes, vertically and horizontally. An important aspect in using the mortar is calibration, because during transportation, the settings may shift slightly.
Right now, the angle is 45 degrees. On my site, it shows 10.0 at 45.55. It should be exactly 45. So, it's time for calibration. It might seem like a small error, but if the shell deviates by 100 meters, the target won't be accurately hit.
Watch this.
Tactical and technical specifications of the 60mm mortar M2. Weight, 19.05 kilogram. Length, 726 millimeters. Rate of fire, 18 RDS per minute. Muzzle velocity, 158 meters per second. Firing range, 1,815 meters. Manufacturer, USA.
Its extremely significant advantage is its lightweight design, approximately 22 kilograms. So, when we talk about any form of transportation, you can just pick it up, run. There's a convenient box to fold it into. The minimum distance it can throw shells is 100 to 110 meters. This is, so to speak, to the place where the wheels are folded. The maximum range is up to 2,500 meters. It can shoot up to 3,100 meters with special designated shells. Speaking of its average effective range, it's around 1 kilometer, let's say up to 2 kilometers. But its effective range is 1 to 1.6 kilometers. The 60mm mortar is used for supporting a platoon or a company. Why? Because it doesn't require a large number of people. Its task is to suppress enemy firing points, both enemy machine guns and live enemy forces. In general, mortars are the infantry's curse. For example, a shell hits differently than a mortar. Let me show you. The shell flies like this, and the fragments fall like this. If a shell flew over you, it hits like this. But a mortar hits like this. Fragments scatter around. So, when you hear that mortars are flying, you drop and lie down, because infantry running is the ideal target for a mortar.
Types of charges for mortars. Fragmentation shell. Fragmentation shell with a fuse. Smoke shell. Incendiary shell. High explosive shell with a fuse. Fragmentation cluster shell. Illuminating shell.
Here we have two mines, two different types. These are 3S9, the so-called illuminating mines. The average weight of the mine is 16 kilograms. It will even weigh less. You can see that from the markings. It is mainly used to support our troops on the battlefield. When it's night, imagine. Very dark. Then it creates a bright spot, illuminating approximately an 800-meter diameter circle. When we talk about mortar mines, there is a certain format. There's the mine, and then there's the mortar shell. The mortar shell consists of a mine, a shell casing. Here, there's an explosive charge. See, there are two different types. That's because this one has a time mechanism because it needs to work in the air.
It's like a detonator.
Yes.
Another interesting mine is the smoke mine. It serves the function of concealment. It could be used during a withdrawal or to cover evacuation. In such cases, the enemy becomes blind for a certain period. Other mines typically work to inflict damage on the enemy. To precisely understand where to shoot, military personnel use a cheat sheet, so to speak, known as a firing table.
For example, when you don't have a tablet or calculator, you can understand where and how to shoot, of course, using a map and a firing table. If you ask, for instance, why there's the number 1, I'll tell you, it indicates that you need 1 bundle of gunpowder. For each caliber, this is a different weight. Figuratively speaking, it's a bag attached to the tail of the mine. 1 bundle is for the first charge, and accordingly, the second one is for the second charge. If you look here, for each angle and sight setting, the shooting distance will be different depending on the mine. Each one has its own markings. Accordingly, it's written here which setting to put on the sight for each distance. Also, very conveniently, there are data here on the deviation under certain conditions. The Earth is rotating, so there is a slight displacement, and while the mine is flying, the Earth will introduce a small error.
Watch this.
War is algebra. My name is Daniel Salem, and we continue to tell you about the most interesting things in the world of military technology.